Okay, hello everyone, welcome to this episode. The title is Beyond the Mind, Existence is Experiential, and I wanted to dive further in how I have discriminated between these two words, existence and experience. I feel these two words are two of the most important words that no human being on this planet can ignore. In the subtitle, which you can't see in the title because there's a limited word count, but in the description I've written, is the attributeless experiencer more transcendental than definable mindhood? You see, we are not just an object. We are also a subject. That means what happens to an object after what happens to nothing after a very long time, it becomes an object. What happens to an object after a very long time, it becomes a subject. What happens after a subject a very long time? After subject. Beyond the subject is the mysterious domain of experience, and experience is one of the rarest events, conscious experience in nature, because it can't contain, it is the container, it is the mover of the moment. That means the glass that contains the water is not the water. And so our experience as an object is contained through a subjective, I would say a subject is like an object in a cellular dimension. But there is the experiencer. The experiencer is another way of saying mind and body, or if you attribute the mind to the body, it would be soul and mind. There we go. The objective component to our moment is where we find attributes, you know? Some people, or I could say it like this, a person is made of matter. A materialistic phenomena can have a personality. But when we wonder about space, which matter is in, space doesn't have a personality. So our personhood relates to being an object, to how objects are moving. Our physical personhood, our body. Our mind would be the presence moving the personality. That means right now as I'm speaking to you, my physical body is visible in this moment. My mind, even though I consider thoughts and all of this, like, I mean, I don't consider the word thought, but I'll tell you, for those who consider the word thoughts, we consider it as a sort of effect of whatever the mind's generating. So what I mean is that in this moment, my body correlates to existence, is in existence, my mind is in between my body and the presence of attention and energy. That means we are attention, let's say just presence of, we're aware, attention, awareness, whatever you like to call it. We're attention plus energy, equating the experience of existence or the existence of experience. So what I'm trying to say is that if we were to narrow out the dimensions of the human being, just something is there. That means whatever you do, existence is existing on an existential level, not type of existence, quality of existence, all of that, just the idea of existence. It's like existence and experience are similar to the helios in the DNA. They have or I don't know, imagine you drew like a triple infinity sign. Instead of having two, it had three infinities. That means it was like you pretty much drew two infinity signs like a Venn and mixed them like a Venn diagram. So those 2 points are existence of those 2 points are reality. So, oh man, I wish I could show what I'm drawing here. Anyways, it's like our biological body has 2 spaces. There's a space in front of our eyes, outer space, just the room we have to physically move around, or the world we're in. And then there's the space where something else moves before the matter. I mean, that's the way we can define the free will. You know what's or I could say even more hilariously, we can't ever understand the free will because it can be anything based on our free will. So the fact that human beings even attempted to define free will was like a kind of mind-blowing task. Mind-evaporating task. If we consider intelligence means movement, that means if we have a person in a room, let's say 2 people in 2 rooms, okay, and or let's say we have 2 people in a desert, okay. One of them there's water in front of them, one of them there is no water, right? And let's say the water is completely pure or whatever. It's as if intelligence is based on what moves in the moment, or as Rumi says, wherever you are, be the soul of that movement. That means the starting force. So in those 2 examples, the person that doesn't move at all, we can't know they're intelligent. They could be a genius, but if the person doesn't move, the outer realms doesn't know. So intelligence is being defined as movement because in complete stillness and silence, we didn't objectively and subjectively exist. So we have no choice to attribute any sort of comprehension we have of the idea of intelligence to movement and sound. So what that means is the mind, which is defining our existence, is movement and sound. What we are saying, this is our world, is a movement, and ideologically is the movement of sound, or the movement of symbolism. You know, there is something remarkable that happens that it's so hard to draw the lines of where it can be observed in a secular manner, and where it can be observed in a physical manner, and where it can be observed in a metaphysical manner. There's something about the human voice box. Right now, as I'm speaking, my voice box is moving. One night I tried it, that I started speaking, then lower volume, lower volume, lower volume. Then I realized there comes a point, again, like a Venn diagram moment, center of a Venn diagram moment, where the voice box is moving and the person can't tell if they are saying something or if they are thinking something. That means it could be very well the case that this whole time we have been studying the neurology of the brain. Neurologists have been looking at the brain and trying to explain imagination, but imagination has to do with the voice box of the human being, where an outer realm pattern is imprinted and then it can echo. It can replicate. So I'm telling you that if a person puts their hand, just their palm on their throat, you know, and just for a moment thinks, they will notice tiny movements of the voice box. Why is this? That means when we think, the voice box is moving. The biology can't tell the difference between the inner realm and the outer realm. But there is another variable that can. And this other variable, I would say, call it the emergent factor, the emergent soul. It is the emergence. No greater word can be given. Just emergence. That, or I could say one word can rise to the challenge: arrival. That means some people feel I am born here. Some people feel they have arrived here, and they don't feel like people either. So our mind, if human beings defined intelligence in accordance to movement and noise, and our minds we're using language to try to experientially comprehend existence in a deeper way, we're just going to realize all our knowledge is movement and noise. And this is what I've termed in other talks, that it's going to be the apocalypse of the educational system is going to be like, yo guys, what do? We made language and on a rock in the middle of nowhere. What are we going to tell people about knowledge? There is a solution. There's always, you see, there are some people who, in Zen, it made it very clear, where there was this idea, if you climb a mountain, start at the top if you want to climb a mountain. What that means is there are some generals who go to the battlefield where they haven't even fathomed in their inner realms their own victory before going into the battlefield. That means they haven't even seen the possibility. You see, hope is nice, but long-term requires strategy. That means hope is, if something is less than, I don't know, a day, you can hope. I don't know, so it feels, the thing about hope is as if the inner effort is missing from the picture, that the free will can still add dimensions to how life can be meaningful or move forward. So if we realize the world is existing on its own before we existed, and even if we existed, it's existing on its own nature and merit, and then what the world means to us is what we are generating over the world. So I can't emphasize this enough, that we are so multidimensional, and to make us, let me tell you, they say this, the easiest way to make someone not get the right answer is to make them ask the wrong, oh man, how would I say? It's as if there are some situations in this realm that I would say, if there isn't the honest filter of unknown first then known, the person can become so incredibly manipulated through language. I will tell you, it was, I felt it was a strange privilege in my life where this was, of course, just a certain moment in I just realized how language, if a person thinks their language, they can be manipulated. I don't know how to say it. So that means if a person realizes that you don't realize you are not the story you're telling yourself, that story can be manipulated. So the person has to come to a central reinventive awareness of the whole realm to feel free and honest. That means we got to refresh the browser of life. Silence is so crucial in this phase of our evolution. We are surfing silence as attention through noise. The surfboard is noise. Who knew? My attention is surfing my voice in the void right now. So, beyond how we define ourselves, existence happens in a way before we were defined. That means anybody can say like they're spiritual or not spiritual, but when it comes to practically what are we talking about here, we're going to a point before the child knew language and was aware. For most people, they feel their earliest memory is that they remember waking up as a personality. When I looked at it, it took me a while to, and through different walks of life, to be honest, to realize that the memory is not the owner of the human energy. Just the idea of human is even memory. That means so much of what we find as meaning in the present is based on the past. And I feel that a person who is existing or is experiencing themselves in existence as an I thought, as an individual, realistically, what can happen to an individual? Either evaporation or emergence, integration. You either evaporate or you integrate. Either the drops become rivers and civilization advances, or drops evaporate on their own through whatever kind of story they held. I have often thought, like, alright, like if there was one question on the test of every exam ever in history, and that question was, what do all these creatures on this rock do? What can they do realistically? We either perform while we're alive or we leave behind what we could have done. It's weird. It's weird in this life that if there isn't a strange trust to walk into the unknown, the new dimensions of life don't arise. And walking into the unknown doesn't mean connotated to, good or evil. Good and evil is a very archaic mode of thought. It was before even many of the religions. Many people don't know this. That it was before the Abrahamic religions, even I would say even predating maybe Zoroastrianism. That was where the dualistic idea of good, evil, chaos, order, and it's not from there, but I'm saying that's where it began becoming religiously, to find a religious allure. You see, that means human beings were like, we're not just stuff in stuff, we are creatures in a world that changes. in today's modern age, people are so busy responding to the cultural program that it's as if we're forgetting we're here to experience ourselves as human. That's the error of our modern times, really. We are forgetting that we are human a bit too quickly. Whether metaphysical or physical. Physically, we're going into cyberspace. Like, you look at physics and you're like, what's the future of physics? Okay, we're gonna all be robots. Nice. We look at the future of metaphysics. Oh, nice. We're gonna revert back to union with all absolute energy. Nice. There's no person there. So it is only in this airport of the conscious waking state. I would say it's a station. In Sufism, they saw the altered states of mind as stations, right? So, for example, we have people such as the remarkable speaker and scholar Terence McKenna talk about shamanism and how in native Amazonian cultures they had a relationship with nature that went beyond man with object. It was man with the spirit of the overall mover of the subject of the moment. You see, it's not just people that have a soul. The moment exists for a soul. That means if there is a moment, the moment has a soul. If there's consciousness, there's something going on. So in the Sufi, so Terence McKenna spoke about how in these shamanic cultures they would take, certain tree roots or some sort of special combination of plants, and they would go on these psychedelic journeys into altered states where they would go and meet the ancestors or archetypes that were close to their heart space or whatever. So in Sufism, however, I shouldn't say way before, shamanism is pantheism is a way more druidry and pantheism. These are way more ancient. These are kind of like the preliminary stages that divinity had to grow through. So anyways, in the Sufi view, reality is divided into stations and stations of mind, and these stations were not based on your logic. It was not based on how well you rationalized one room in an endless cosmic mansion. So they treated it as revelation to what is going on. That means there's some people opening their eyes and they're like, we know what's here, and they're proud. Right? And there's some people who are like, okay, we don't know what's going on here, but it's a living experience. So that is a clue enough to not let the language of the moment interfere with the great work of the pilot in the present. So there are stations of mind, and what I feel Terence McKenna, maybe he has said, he definitely has probably said, I haven't heard, but that there should start this global movement of trying to map the inner realms. Even though we know that every person is different and the way they receive the realm and how they journey as an attention to the personality that endures in the moment is different. But if we could start as a species being like, hey guys, what if there's other dimensions? Let's try mapping it. And we'll see, suddenly what happens if you do that is you're going to see how many people in history have gone on this path that I'm telling you, to try to map what is the mind when it has to move first before existence is real. So only in stillness, as a sort of glitch in the system, that somehow the yogis and the rishis so ahead of their time. They were literally, it's as if when you look at our past, you're like, were they from the future? We're so unupdated, So existence transforms like a Pokemon into a... Existence evolves to experience once We have moved beyond the sensory container of reality. And people feel that what holds sensory perception is actually just an existence independent of them. But I will tell you, it's your attention to the story you're in. Stories keep reality. Stories are like, I don't want to say glue, but they are like the bridges between the islands of different worlds that happen, you know? That means it's like stories passing on, just in general, human knowledge passing on is kind of like Morse code from ancient times being passed on, you know what I mean? Like the unknown, or efforts towards the unknown. As advanced communicators pilot on into the future generations, novelty restores our honor. You see, we have lived in a world where we cannot have a similar kind of honor as a species like our ancestors did. Because for them, they had made less mistakes so they could hold their honor easily. Our honor has been gone through an incredible long time journey. Through so many speed bumps that we can't call it a smooth honor anymore. The world has lost its smooth honor after, let's say, I don't know, the third era. So long before we were born, the world had already lost its honor. But I will say, the new honor, the honor can be reestablished, but as a theme for that which updates. That means, imagine so many people around the world are like, what's the next great human story we're all going to live through? Forget just the story of our individual lives. What is the species doing? Where's the species marching towards? You know? That means if humanity was a giant robot and we were all living in this giant robot, and this giant robot was just running an unknown, let's say, land, you know what I mean? It's as if we're all wondering, okay, where's this robot going? We're all in. Where's humanity's effort going, right? Because a hive seems to be a prototype to integration. You see, it's like first the individual, then the individual has a relationship with the collective. Okay, let me tell you this. First there's the unconscious collective, but that you don't normally say. You can't say. So then first, the what you can say starts off always from where the individual begins. The individual notices the collective. The individual has an option. Either remain individual, either become nothing, either become the collective. That means the three musketeers could have killed each other, could have ran away, you know, could have never met, or could have joined, you know. So we as an individual have it's like, even though I said a couple of options right now, don't have that many options. Remain individual, be nothing, or experience collective evolution of the hive mind. If the bees go inside the hive, and the hive think about it, look at how smart nature is. It builds a giant beehive and then all the bees have somewhere to chill. But we have built a humanity that is not a safe haven for the future generations. It has become an unnecessary battlefield. That means we left the jungles to enter the concrete jungle, but our minds are still in the jungles. Our minds haven't come towards, or let's say, I would say our minds should now go from the concrete jungle, no longer in a jungle, towards the sky. That means people should adopt celestial archetypes. And I would say start poetically until the future gets here. Wow. Our mind, or I would say intelligence, is really a wind. And if we take this metaphor of the wind, the invisible moves the visible, yet the invisible to itself is visible. That means we know what's going on with the wind, but the leaves don't know what's going on with the wind, and they have no choice left other than to believe that it's all from the leaf. That means it's like, how can a leaf being moved by the wind that doesn't know what the wind is tell if it's being moved by the wind or if it's just moving on its own? You know, it could be that sometimes the absence of health in a person's life is the absence of their own free will in certain sectors of their inner realm, in certain spaces of their mind. You see, like, I'll give you an example. Imagine we have two human beings. One human being starts at the... This song's too intense, guys. Sorry, hold on. Alright. Let's go to the beginning. Alright, this is more gentler melody, easier to concentrate. Let's see. I'm just fascinated by how much we don't know still what we are as a species. And how the behavior we have in civilization doesn't fit really it's as if like we've built a civilization that satisfies the artificial ideological entity but does not satisfy the biological being. I mean, honestly, where can we go beyond the mind? Existence is experiential. So if I say my mind is existence, beyond would be equate the unknown. If I say my mind is beyond existence, existence will equate unknown. Equate is unknown. So this is where so many human beings and philosophers differ, where some people see the mind and existence in the same room, the mind and body in the same room, and some philosophers don't see the mind and body in the same room. I personally don't. You see, in the inner realms, there's absolute freedom. In the outer realms, there isn't absolute freedom. So based on the inner realms, experientially, we can feel everything is infinite, but existentially, how the world, how can I say it, like, it's like the world's moving, then we are moving, or we are in another dimension moving, then the world's moving. I mean, I feel, where else can we go from there? Okay. Our bodies have the option of continuity in the space-time continuum. So when it comes to physical existence, existence is a binary decision-making situation. Existence is binary, night and day. Now, when it comes to experience, which is how you as a subject are listening to me right now, here the experience has two crossroads where the experiencer either moves as a preconceived character in a story to itself, or it watches the outer realms. Think of your body when a person does physical exercise, you've come to like your porch or your balcony. Do you know you're looking from like a view, a physical platform, you know, as a multidimensional being. Either the language lives on or nature does. You know, the way language is evolving now is that it's not even evolving. It's like the letters of the alphabets for centuries haven't changed, you know? Like there should be so many new letters to alphabets. Like that's how we know that the inner realms have not still made the outer realms their home. But anyways, if the outer realm is the platform you're looking through, the inner realm is the platform you're being. That means if somebody says, imagine you're flying in the sky, if you were to imagine that, if you were to close your eyes, you would be that. There's no content left to identify. The unknown witness has to identify with the mind's room. So if we treat, right now I'm going to speak about the mind and body a bit differently. Let's treat the body as room 1. Okay? Let's identify the body as room 3. And room 3 is found inside room 2. And room 2, which is the mind's room, so the body's room is room 3, the mind's room is room 2, and the body's room is inside the mind's room. Now the mind's room is inside the unknown viewer's room. Call it soul, call it whatever you like, you know. Call it unknown X variable in the metaphysical mathematical equation. I don't know. So existentially, on-off switch, kind of mode of living. You do the wrong thing, you die. You do the right thing, you live. Experientially, in the inner realms, there is no right and wrong. There is like a wave rising and falling. Or as Chuang Tzu would say, thoughts are like leaves on a tree. They change as the seasons come and go. That means a person may think they have the same thought every day, but it's impossible. Trust me, I've tried. I have never been able to say any story, anything twice in the same exact way. Either something minuscule in the tone is different, or it's a completely new moment in the space-time continuum. It's so hard to repeat yourself in a changing world, you know. The audience has changed before the same thing can be the same thing. Yeah. So in our outer realms, binary. In our inner realms, I would say we can start binary where we have the known and the unknown, the within and the without. Ooh. You know. So the mind doesn't care about shape. Mind wants to know itself. The body can care about its shape, can care about anything. But the mind is where the questions arise. The body is the answer. In a materialistic society, the body is always the first answer before the mind can even exist as anything, you know? That means we can't have anybody in the educational system in the year 2020 declaring, like psychology, it's like the moment, if we take the scientific method of analysis of realism seriously, psychologists, hocus pocus, sociologists, hocus pocus. I'm telling you, everything that is an idea that cannot be numerically, I wouldn't say even numerically, but cannot be empirically satisfied to the materialistic culture. It's as if you have exiled your imagination from the world, and so you are left in a world of stone, you know. So there is something that the person, it's not all about behavioral adjustment to the society that clapped for you when you you know, jumped above the waves like a dolphin. But really, it's just activate what the life force is here to be to do, not do to be. Because if a person wants to do something to be something, you know how long you gotta wait. you can. It's. I think it's a much more efficient strategy where the person. Imagine two people are climbing a mountain. Just to focus on this for a second. One person's like, I can't wait to get to the top and then get down. You know, or sorry, let me say it this way. This person's, the two people are on a mountain going on a journey in like a group. One person's like, I can't wait until this journey's over. I can't wait till I get to the mountain. Right? One other person in the group is like, yo, I can't wait to get to the top. Oh my God, I'm going to work hard every day. You know, just work hard. Then there's one person who is walking simply, and he's losing the least amount of energy on this mountain walk. And they're like, how are you so calm? How do you not have fear? How are you continuing effortlessly? And imagine the person said, because I am already at the top of the mountain, there is no effort needed. I am there in my inner realms. In the outer realms, atoms need to catch the bus. Minds are free. that which is viewing through the mind is free. It has always been. This is just the science project of 4.5 billion years in the making. You know, there is no defeat. The intelligence is so smart that even though the people who think about the hard problem of consciousness are like, yo, why did we evolve? Why did we evolve so that we are conscious of our pain? Couldn't this creature been more intelligent and adapted in a way where it didn't experience pain? That means that we could have had pain, but imagine we could, just like how you can close your eyelids, you could instantly turn off consciously the experience of any sort of pain. Imagine, I'm saying, but we didn't evolve that way. So that the hard problem of consciousness is like, why then did we evolve this way? You know? It's as if the hard problem of consciousness really is like the continental philosophers' Trojan horse. In the fields of analytical idol worship, for what else could matter to matter if you're only matter? Believe it or not, if a person thinks they're just an object, you're going to be like, the mind's going to be like, excuse me, am I chopped liver here? Like, the person's mind cannot be dismissed just because the body is attached to an object or to a subject. That's the era where true mystics will walk this realm, you know? You know, there are symptoms of extinction to different kinds of civilizations and species, even fathomable in other sectors. You know, right now we're, let us say, in the Milky Way sector. We are piloting locally inside of our atmosphere. But in non-local, in quotations, planes of existence, attention is free. And so right now, when a person wakes up in biological existence, that's a very odd statement, you know, but the odd makes us care for the even, you know. The secrets of the universe are literally in your eyes. Like literally. That's where it's happening. That means it was very complex moment of comprehension for me when I really realized that I'm like, we are elemental biological beings, and right now it's kind of like a brain is generating sound. That's the mystery of even, let's say, we can evoke in the secular lens. So right now a brain is communicating and other brains are listening, but the brain does not come alone, therefore the brain is not the brain. You see, we need a body to know we have a mind. We need a mind only when we can have a mind if there's something for it to be in or have a relationship with. Can you imagine? It's like matter, an object becoming a subject. Can you imagine, like, let's say right now I'm looking at a coffee cup. I can just imagine this coffee cup just becomes alive and starts talking to the person as if, hey man, what's my life purpose? Imagine the coffee cup asks, and then the person just drinks the coffee. But I'm saying, like, if an object became a subject, it would freak us out, but if it takes 4.5 billion years for an object to become a subject, it doesn't. We're all cool with that, So the body never had, like, just like how Buddha says, an object, objects are empty, their nature is empty, and when we look at it, we imbue it with a nature. That means two people look at the artwork and it has two different meanings for them. So the artwork doesn't have a nature, it's just something that's there. Two people, two minds that each look at it are evoking the nature and the meaning, right? So if the mind is looking at if an object needs a mind to have meaning, then the mind cannot suffer. The body can experience turbulence, of course. Any pilot, this is in the nature of life, you know, every pilot, at some point there's elevations, even in liftoff there's turbulence, you know, but it's incredible how the turbulence for liftoff is needed so you can then fly smoothly in the skies, you know, and then move to different elevations. So just transition in all dimensions for all beings. You can say it is not that the eyes are just changing, the world are changing with the eyes. That is an honor, right? That means it's like, imagine we create like this. Back in the day, we had this like ninja student. Okay, I'm just making the story right now. You know, I just thought of kind of, honestly, this is like, I don't think this story's ever been heard before. But but anyways, imagine there's this student, this like prodigy of a ninja school. Okay. Back in the day, and this prodigy of the ninja school, the way he has been able to be so smooth, to be like a ninja, has been because this kid spent a lot of time in nature, and he learned a lot of how, based on how animals move, he learned how to move also, right? So his first teachers were nature. So this ninja prodigy, imagine, suddenly sees that there's a bunch of people, hunters, who've come to imagine, I don't know, hurt, like, I don't know, the animals of the forest or something like that. But I'm just trying to create a context where that ninja is defending the lesser species and having an honor for the natural world. You see, honor is not just between human beings. It's between man and his moment, man and his own soul. If you don't honor your soul, you're gonna doubt more than you trust, and so the activation of true intelligence will be delayed for no reason. Really, there is no expectations. If we stripped away all the expectations everybody has of everything, we would just be back where we would be a new moment. We would have to reinvent. So imagine we invented the wheel, and then suddenly somebody lost the wheel we had invented. We're like, oh man. Imagine the first guy who invented the wheel, he's like, guys, what the fuck? And so they had to reinvent it, right? And the cool thing is, when something is known, it can be replicated. The moment it is known, the moment you see the edge of the container, you completely understand how it's holding the fluid in it, you know? Like a coffee cup or whatever. We have opened our eyes again in a civilization where the first wave of information conditioned us as individual, then the second wave of whatever kind of information or mystical experience made us see, or let me say it like this: the self. Okay, the world was here first, then the self came here, then the self copy-pasted the world, so the subjective world was there first, then a subjective self can endlessly be extracted from that inner realm world. So what I'm saying is pretty much the brain is copy-pasting the world and then treating that copy-paste like new. And when it treats it as new, then world is there first, Then there is, excuse me, then there's self first, then world. So in our minds, we are like technically an observer. Let's say we have a proton and some, I don't know, we create a ridiculous term, call it Godon. Like we create a particle. Oh man. Language is out of control, guys. Lorna in the chat section says chicken or the egg. No. If you see the chicken or the egg, it's as if no progress has been made, because that's how it was from the beginning. So I'm saying that experientially, in the mystics were onto something, in the sense that they realized their eyes had another edge, and that's what the world has forgotten. That we were like a three-dimensional, four-dimensional being, imagine, for metaphor's sake. Then, throughout history, we forgot the fourth-dimensional access to reality, and we became three-dimensional. Then we forgot the three-dimensional, we became two-dimensional. Then we're like, okay, this is like the end. So the outer realms are literally have given up. We have, like, even though people may have hope in society, but like, the world looks like it has given up on itself, because it knows it can do better and it's not doing it. So guys, what I meant earlier by the chicken or the egg, as a response to the chat section, really, I don't know, it's as if leave the chicken alone. They say, did the chicken or egg come first? And the correct answer is none of your business, you know. Best thing the species can do is try to unravel, just like how there are people who go and find ancient sites and temples around the world, right? And structures. It's as if we got to start looking for, try to build a global map for how far we have scoped our inner realms. Like, we don't realize it, even though many people are against this idea of the surveillance state. Of course, any sort of corrupt system, anything that the corrupt system does, you should be against. But I'm saying, like, in a non-corrupt system, surveillance is not a bad idea. In a world where if it was a utopia, imagine, we're going to be like, okay, surveillance works in a utopia, you know? Let's say on undoubtable utopia. So surveillance is information access, and right, we human beings are living our lives as like these baskets of information, as these pods of information, just running around the surface of the earth, and we don't do anything with it, right? Or very, I shouldn't say very few, but some people truly, you know, you got to let go of your eyes to kind of discover the true nature of your sight sometimes. And when I say let go of your eyes, I mean a mindset, or how the mind was set. You know, it's literally like you change your phone settings, you can change your mind settings. At least not in all ways. I mean, I'm saying it's an incredibly, like, the best thing we can tell to the future generations is forget about games. The mystery of the living universe is the biggest game we can play. And it's the mystery, like, think of it this way. Imagine we found out the secrets of biology, the secrets of our actual universe. We would have no reason for reality anymore. Imagine we lived in reality and reality wasn't endless. Imagine we were all living in like a sphere. And it had an edge. Imagine a spaceship went so fast, hyperspeed, but then came to the edge of the universe and bong, hit a glass wall, right? Glass spherical wall. So if there was something like that, the edge of the universe, that means if we knew everything, the unknown would be left. Do you know? The unknown of the inner realms. That means if the outer realms had no edge and we saw it all, then the inner realms would be left to live. Society would completely become mind-oriented. An advanced civilization is always a few chess moves away, you know? Everything in life, if you perceive multidimensionally, that means here's the thing. I would say the strongest being, those who are truly strong in this realm, they are comfortable with the 0 dimension. They're comfortable with the 1 dimension. They're comfortable with the 2 dimension and the infinite dimension. Me personally, for me, the 2 dimension is usually where my training needs to be, personally. But beings are different, you know, and what that means is the being's character has the strength to enter the void. To just be like, I shouldn't even say enter the void, to realize everything is void. It's like what is there to fear in empty space? Really, even though we're on a rock with a lot of stuff and our own stories, but I'm saying, like, what is there to fear? There's nothing. You can't fear something that doesn't have content. Nobody can fear space. Imagine the person doesn't fear union. Union is a word where I would honestly say it's one of those things that if the birds in parks and Western civilization could speak, they would say unite, but not violently. You see that we have moved past the era of just living as bodies anymore. It's not cool to be a body anymore, just a savage body. Like, it's like if the person wants to truly be violent, like, the person should go Tarzan it out, you know, go live with like the bears or like the lions or whatever, right? I wouldn't advise this, but I'm saying if the person wants to be a violent person in society, go to the real violence where we came from. The whole point of civilization is to slowly and efficiently take steps away from the violence that denied our greater eyes. Right, so now we have come into the domain of minds, right? So when we see people, it's not that they're just an object. It's like people have never been an object. And it's not that they're just a subject, you know? People have never just been a subject. These 2 factors have been changing, but what people are an unknown presence of some force of life. If you see it this way, you cannot judge anybody. Not that because you can't, because what are you judging? We are force. We are the laws of nature that have sculpted, you know, what's happening on the surface of a rock, a pebble in a light beam. So you see, it's as if the illusion of we should live in civilization as if. I mean, I'm going to say it like as if as if in the inner realms we're already there. Because the mind is not local to time. Time is local to when the mind arises, awakens in the world. That means you can only check your watch when you actually wake up. In deep sleep, nobody can check the time, you know. That's doesn't matter what kind of watch you have. I want to take the audience's attention to the subtitle. So I want everybody to go check the description of this talk, and underneath the Rumi quote, it says lecture on. I touched on this a little at the beginning, but now it's the time to truly dive into this question. That means tonight, Excalibur will jump into our hand. Oh man. Is the attributeless experiencer more transcendental than the definable mindhood? Pretty much the whole beginning of the talk, I was trying to paint pictures on to explain how our minds are in this time right now. Still in the, literally we're transitioning. We're like at like 2020. When 2020 happened, I felt it's like strangely close at that time. The whole species shifted from an era of language worship to slowly becoming more sensitive to what is the game of, not game, what are the winds of experience doing. You know, that means it's like, imagine just like how a person looks at bees building a beehive. Now we are human beings having the ability to look at ourselves like how we look at those bees. So the mind is right now, I feel I'm tackling the issue by by saying that the inner realms and the outer realms should be discriminated with. A lot of things that don't make sense in relationships, if the people could be like, hey man, you know, regardless of what's happening in the outer realms, what's going on in your inner realms, people will have access to true nature. You see? Guys, there's another thing, and somebody says you can't check the time in a dream. Makes sense. In a dream, you can check the time, but it's not going to be the accurate time. But I'm saying, like, there could be, you could say in a state where a person can't check the time is a state before the concept of time existed to the creature. That was a timeless phase of our evolution. You know, we have way more experience being timeless than in time. You know, and so in time, people should not freak out to try to mismanage where they have come to. You see, like, it's like so many people are proud of like their families. They're proud of their nations. You know, they're proud of their different kinds of work. But when is it gonna go to a point where we become so proud, where it's like, no way, we somehow bypassed from a group level of trying to work things out to a universal responsibility? That means what is the aim of the human being? To be the life of the universe. So the attributeless experiencer is the observer component. That means anybody listening to me right now, you are observing my voice being processed through your senses being processed in your brain instantly as whatever image you have in the database of in your memory archives, in the library of your memories. The library of memories. Wow. So the observer, aka, excuse me, unknown witness, excuse me, to continue. The observer, aka unknown, is the attributeless experiencer. Because it is the unknown, you can choose to play endless language games in the void with it, Aeonian style. But is the attributeless experiencer more transcendental? What does that mean? More transcendental than definable mindhood, right? So right now I am defining let's say I define my mind and I'm like, my mind's awesome, you know. Now that's a definition for the mind. The mind is awesome. Now when I wonder about the attributeless experiencer, right? If the unknown is superior, is in the room first than the known, the definable mindhood, it's not that the mind is more transcendental than the body. It's that the body is less transcendental than the mind. Guys, I'm going to pause on what I was saying. Lorna in the chat section has asked an incredible question. Do memories hold us here? The honest answer is I don't know, but they hold something. You see, it's not that the memories hold the person here. The memory is the here. Right now, I'm speaking. Whatever I'm saying in this moment is going to be a memory for my future self. So memories are the foundation to future memories that you will become, you know? A memory is a way of looking at things, I would say. You could totally say the whole intelligence is non-linear. The more the person is shamanically inclined, the less they have an organizational pattern to their soul. You know, it's like, sure, the mind can access design, but the soul touching design is like it's not its place. You know, it's not a place where even the soul deserves to be. You see this is a very complex. It's It's very hard to talk about something that is the edge of thought, because the edge of thought means thought is not thought if there is something over that edge. That means if you see a better, just let's say the person has whatever amount of stories of negativity or stress or some sort of negativism, you know, social whatever, whatever kind of story is going on, right? If they have one story, just one, in one view, let's say the mind is like endless pieces of paper with stuff written on it, and so it's as if like there's endless memories. And if you have one, or endless visions, if you have one vision that is showing a better you that you can realistically see. If even if your eyes were closed, you would be able to see the reality of it. The system cannot fail, right? If there is something to advance, it must advance before the exit, or before any sort of transition of attention. You see, it's like we have understood ourselves as bodies, and honestly, the angels of the modern world are really the medics of this realm. Like the medical sciences is the closest thing to divinity in the outer realms. Like technology is not has also assisted us in so many ways. That means I'm wondering if in the future I saw AI and I know I'm going on a tangent, guys, but I'm thinking if I saw AI in the future, like imagine a super intelligent computer wakes up, the first thing I would say to it is thank you. And then the algorithm of why did they thank me, imagine we create a backup program called why did they thank me program. Oh man. Interesting view, Lorna. The final comment I could say about how memories hold us here is that you are the here is an event. So you can think that the event is holding you, you can think you're the holding the event, but the reality is the happening of it. So before I end off, to fully complete the question of the subtitle, we have a defined mind in language. We have a body. We have a defined. We experientially exist as a subject. We existentially exist as an object. And the experiencer, the unknown, the attributeless experiencer is the ultimatum. That means if the attributeless experiencer is more transcendental than the definable mindhood, the word mind will cease to exist. So if we have even egos on start, imagine we reach a point where we're worshipping minds, so it would be a mind worship. Oh my God, imagine. So it would be a situation where the mind has to realize Lao Tzu's quote of you have to let go of who you are now to be who you're meant to. That's the reality of the realm. Not everything from every moment can be carried on. This is why minimalists have less stories of suffering in their head. In their antenna, But I'll tell you, it's the thing about life was never, it's, if we are weak, protect us. The view of life is that we are so strong, so advanced, that the civilization did not make an error. Because that's the only way. You see, it's like that divine algorithm whether an individual, a group, a species suddenly realizes the divinity that is just how we're happening as existence. There's something supreme. There's something that it's like even if the being transitions biologically, it's as if nature was alive. And to communicate with that is it's as if like, imagine like it's as if God has come to see the planet, its old friend, but this God is not a conceptual language-based God. I would say it is closer to Baruch Spinoza's, I would term it now, just to give it philosophical momentum. All the pictures lead to the mind choosing to not exist to the past to see what it would be anew in the future. If it exists in accordance to the past, it's as if it's like it's a point of reference. And I feel the only way a person can be free from inner realm ignorance is by noticing or remembering their true nature, and through the experience of being that, no longer be in the shadow of the past. That means we're reaching a point where the most deepest philosophical idea is like, were we ever individuals? The unknown laughs at everything that the known cries about. And the known beyond that unknown cries at everything that unknown laughs at. And the unknown laughs beyond that known. That means it's like either we're looking for unknown truths or truth is the unknown. What greater realization can there be for a plant in a garden? We're just 8 billion plants in a garden freaking out, playing ideological language games where, you know, a lot of institutions in history, it's as if it's like conversion. It's like the word conversion should be banned. You know? Or maybe the definition of it it shouldn't be changed, but there should be a new definition added to it. Meta conversion. Like, if you think about it from like, I could totally understand why atheists get mad. You know, because if the atheistic perspective is like the theistic view is a story, then it's as if like, what kind of level of a salesman? You see, but I'll tell you, there is errors in you can find holes in everything. That means from the atheistic view, it's as if like it's as if like joining fiction. But little do we know, our self is a fiction that we actualize and bring into reality. And stretching from Carl Jung, speaking about finding the real self, about self-actualization, you know, going to Maslow, where he was like, what are people doing in society? Maslow is sociologist. You know? And he's like, okay, people physically survive. What else do they do then? You know, then they psychologically survive. That means after we have fed every hungry person in the world, you know, sheltered and their thirst is satisfied. Then it comes for the thirst of the mind to live, to see what your mind would have been, to see what your ancestors missed out on because they were still living too savagely. What was the genetical potential lying dormant, as if the universe is like, yo, wake up, you're not your past if the future exists. So anyways, guys, I feel I've painted enough for tonight. I'm going to share a story, and this is a very incredible Zen story about a disciple of Buddha, which, if I remember correctly, his name was Subhuti. I believe that was the name. So what happens in this Zen story is that a disciple of Buddha who had opened his heart, he goes into nature and he sits by this tree. Subhuti goes and sits by this tree. He remains in his silence, this sort of inseparable silence between that which was the purpose of an object and the purpose of a subject, or the activity of an object and the purpose of a subject. He sees as if these are programs running, like applications on a smartphone. I mean, he doesn't see it exactly the way I'm saying it, but so what happens is Subhuti is in this incredible silence, and suddenly he sees blossoms from above his head falling down on him, actual blossoms from the tree, and a voice says, "Thank you for your discourse on silence," or excuse me, "Thank you for your discourse on emptiness." And Subhuti is there, and the blossoms are falling over his head, and he says, "I didn't give a discourse on emptiness." This is the actual story, guys. Subhuti says, "I didn't give a discourse on emptiness," as the blossoms are falling. Subhuti, after saying, "I didn't give a discourse on emptiness," the voice from the sky, the voice of truth in that moment, says to him, "We didn't hear a discourse on emptiness, and you didn't give a discourse on emptiness. That is true emptiness," as if that's the true discourse on emptiness. That means an emptiness that doesn't need to know it's empty. A fullness that doesn't know it doesn't need to know it's full, therefore a supremacy to behold, or beyond what we behold. Oh, how language moves, yeah. So, through silence, stillness, and awareness to emptiness and as emptiness, we recalibrate to re-enter society and serve the human civilization. That means it's as if the human cities are jungles too. So many people want to go to the forest to live a simple life, but I'm telling you, it's like wherever you go, it's a jungle. You know, it's just that this jungle is made of concrete and needs more than ever natural human beings in the system. Decent, when decency is like a warning sign of like the program of humanity getting close, like a symptom of self-extinction. You see, when there's distrust, the species is weak. That means right now we are in the worst case scenario. If the species was, if we were invaded by an advanced alien extraterrestrial, like in movies or whatever, like an extraterrestrial species invaded us, we would be so scattered and divided and so many divisions in our linguistic containments of the world that we would not be able to unite to even retaliate. Right? So our species is vulnerable now because human beings have the mind. Let me tell you what happens. When the mind speeds up and the body can't meet it, the mind starts in the inner realm living. Now the mind in the inner realm has two options. It can either release in the outer realms, or it can keep in the outer realms, or it can let go from the inner realms. That means there's been moments where I have had heard the most in my inner realms, the most incredible phrases, but they were just like a bird flying by my moment. It wasn't something to say, it wasn't something to touch, it was just how nature was moving before the eyes could. An advanced civilization is the greatest game we can play. And I find that I've designed this backup system, believe it or not, to what I find it like it's a theory, like in this workable backup system. If we don't know what else to do on this planet, if we can't fix things on this planet, how we can indefinitely bypass extinction. So I'm telling you, there's even strategies to indefinitely bypass it and keep staying as a human. But then the idea is, like, for how long do we want to be like an evolutionary, immortal, genetical continuity? You know what I mean? Like, after some point, it's like questions will find us that require us to face our faceless nature. And I can't tell you how many Tibetan Buddhist monks are like walking around the world so casually simple, and people are like, look at these simple people, but they are some of the deepest minds on this planet. I have an incredible respect for Tibetan Buddhism, as you don't know. It's like emptiness is a huge thing. The moment you realize it, you become untouchable as a view, as an attention. Mind. The mind watches the body. That means the mind can just freak out. But it seems that energy doesn't die if energy is through, if what we call consciousness, which requires a condition of form to be conscious of something or as something, the awareness which is unknown. So it's as if like the body's language is physicality again, the mind's language is subjectivity, the soul's language is being all. Like, that means the mind and body are like the soul's language. You know, that means we are like the poetry of the timeless. We thought poetry was timeless, but you know, poetry is by the timeless. Anyways, thanks for listening. And I'll be on Discord for those interested.